The season you're watching was done, but it didn't have the two main voices. So it was like killing us that there was a world where if we didn't get it right, this was just going to go on a shelf.
Rick and Morty just finished wrapping up its 7th season in its typically surprising and off-kilter style. But don't forget, the series went back to the drawing board to find new voice talent for the show's 2 main characters after Adult Swim parted ways with co-creator and voice actor Justin Roiland. The show hasn't skipped a beat, but now we're finally learning about the lengths the network took to find Rick and Morty's new voices.
Rick and Morty, we're back, baby!
If you're watching this video, then you probably already know the deal. Show co-creator Justin Roiland, who did the voices for Rick, Morty, and a bunch of other characters like Noob Noob, Mr. Meeseeks, and Mr. Poopy Butthole, has not been a part of the show at all since season 6. Adult Swim parted ways with Roiland after allegations of domestic violence were filed in early 2023. So that obviously left Rick and Morty in a weird place. But again, if you've been watching season 7, honestly, Roiland's absence hasn't really seemed like an issue.
Hey look, Morty! I'm a leg! A leg, Morty!
Listening to the voices of both Rick and Morty in the series' 7th season probably didn't raise any alarms. This is Rick and Morty, right? Well, yeah, but they're different. Ian Cardoni and Harry Belden are the new voices of Rick and Morty. Well, new as in the top of season 7. It was always going to be a high-profile job for whoever ended up replacing Justin Roiland as the voice talent for the 2 title characters, where it would be easiest to tell something had changed. Online chatter hadn't always been kind to Belden and Cardoni. Some were really that ready to dismiss them. The staff knew this was something viewers would hyper-focus on.
It was super rigorous. I mean, unbeknownst to Ian, he was flagged in February. Like, he was one of the first people that I'm like, this guy's got a little bit of Rick in him, which is fighting for us because, you know, you don't know what you're going to get out there. But we felt like we really needed to put everyone through the paces. We felt like the fan base was going to, like, really look at this under a microscope, so it needed to be perfect.
So the process was pretty lock and key, even in an industry where auditions and castings are already decently secretive. I talked to the Rick and Morty team, including Martyr, Cardoni, and Belden, along with another actor who auditioned to get the real story on how Rick and Morty recast its title characters. We have video with the actual crew members, but I'm going to add in what the other auditioner told me about their experience in an off-camera interview, and I'm going to refer to them as Actor X to protect their identity. Apparently, whispers about the audition were starting up in January 2023, and it was an audition a lot of people wanted.
There's always going to be nerves with something you care about. And so for me, every step of the way, I was just trying to take it one day at a time. That can be difficult when it's something you really want.
And so the first calls for auditions started as early as February.
There were many rounds of auditions in between and a lot of waiting, a lot of nervous anticipation, and finally found out the good news in June. So it was a 6-month process just about from beginning to end.
According to Actor X, who is represented by one of the top 5 voiceover agencies, they believe everyone who auditioned had professional representation, meaning unknowns on YouTube probably didn't ever stand a chance unless they had an agent or manager going to bat for them. Actor X said their representation asked them to audition, and while they didn't know anyone else who actually auditioned, they heard of several others in the industry who specifically said they didn't get the call when they were hoping they would.
I emailed my agent and said, hey, like, you know, most people, I think that I can do a decent impression of Rick and Morty. So, you know, if this submission comes your way, send me out for it. That'd be great. I'd love to. It'd just be an honor to audition for this show. I recorded some lines in February. However, I think like a month or 2 later, they asked me to do it again. I just kept sending them out. This is so fun. It's so, how much fun is this to record for Rick and Morty? And then they, wanted to do a callback over Zoom.
It took several rounds of auditioning, starting with simply sending in recordings to Zoom callbacks and finally in-person meetings in LA, said Belden. According to Actor X, in the first round, actors were not instructed to voice match Roiland, saying it was more about getting the vibe right and interpreting it as they would. By round 2, my source said, the directions were clear the show was looking for an exact voice match. And while auditioners were at first open to try out for both characters, eventually it was decided they would be casting 2 different people for the 2 roles. Actor X said they heard this was due to strain on one person doing both, and it's also likely this was simply the way to get the best Rick and the best Morty.
I was not in control of that situation at all.
Did you audition for both characters or just one?
Initially, yeah, I was sending in both Rick and Morty because I've said this before, but I don't think there's a fan out there that only imitates Morty or only imitates Rick.
They put us through the ringer, so more and more was demanded of us, and it was, just having to build up to what the role required.
In case you're wondering which scene they had to bring to the auditions, the answer is a lot of them.
Yeah, the first round I think was, a page or 2 from an old script. I think we did some from Vat of Acid episode, and I definitely remember reading a script that was new to me.
I mean, we would literally have them do scenes of previous seasons and have it cut in and play them versus the actual scenes to see if people internally could spot the differences. So we applied a lot of pressure to it.
We did a test episode of 702, the Jarek trap, and that, I mean, as a fan, just to see, the color animation of an episode that no one had seen, was just so overwhelming. But I was like, stay in it, stay professional, and we got through that whole episode, and then I think we got through, what was it, Steve, like half of the finale, I think, too. 7.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah,
but we re-recorded that a bunch of times.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So, old episodes, then unseen stuff from season 7, and some totally original fake scenes?
I don't even remember it now, but it was just like a fake new episode script or something.
Yeah, we wrote a scene. It was like Rick and Morty trying to get this like alien ice cream or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Brickleberry fudge. Yeah.
Fake ones were just satellite fake scenes. They were written to get a range, to try to squeeze as much a range into as few pages as possible.
And then when it got really serious, they tried to pair up different Ricks and Mortys. Kind of like when casting on The Office paired up different Jims and Pams to check for chemistry. But less flirty.
We were doing like do-si-dos with like different pairing different voice actors with each other to see if just there was magic with particular Ricks and particular Mortys. There was a ton of that. There was just tons of going through scenes and seeing how they dealt with like conversational voices,
Poopy ball,
screaming voices. Like, because Rick and Morty have a whole library and a whole spectrum of sounds they make. We needed to make sure no one had like a real weak spot, It was important to hear how they sounded with everybody.
Like, say, the rest of the Smith family, Beth, Jerry, and Summer.
Hey, great job, Ian. You made it to the end of it. It's like you played the Hunger Games to get to Rick. It's like, and they're great actors. Like, I feel so much more emotional connection to the characters in a way I had missed, truly. So.
And as of season 7, it really seems like the recording process changed, at least for the time being.
I worked with all the voices on the show, and believe it or not, Roiland was the only one that I never got to work with. He always operated satellite. So to actually get to direct Rick and Morty on Rick and Morty has been a fun finish line for me, just because I feel like I've got a little bit more control of the finished product.
Were you all recording live in studio, not separate?
I predominantly record over Zoom, but for Ian and Harry, when they were getting their feet wet, I went in live with them 99% of the time.
Ultimately, I forgot the actors changed somewhere mid-episode 1, so if the goal was to be seamless changing over, they nailed the goal. It's a far cry from the alternative, which I guess was throw away an almost done season and the show's potential. Rick and Morty, no years? Rick and Morty, never?
Well, listen, I'm grateful because I still get to be here too, right? Like, if there wasn't any Rick and Morty, there wouldn't be any more summer either. So, I'm happy that he's come along. I think he's doing an amazing job. I've been really impressed.
Hey everyone, I'm Kim Horcher, and I reported on this, so thanks for watching. For more Rick and Morty, here's the real reason why Rick's true nemesis will always be Evil Morty. So check that out, bro. That doesn't sound right coming from me. Anyway, don't forget to follow and subscribe to IGN wherever you like to watch.